of the war. It is Friday the 13th. And we have a Friday the 13th next month, too. 2 in a row. 2 in a row. All right, enough. All right, so we need to start somewhere. Causes would be a good jumping off point. But we've talked about a couple of causes already. One being the Industrial Revolution, right? That some countries went very, very quickly through the Industrial Revolution, and some, it took a lot longer. We've also talked about different countries taking over Africa, right? Scrambling for those countries in Africa. Some countries, like Britain and France, got a lot more land in Africa than other countries, like Germany. Okay? So that also shows why there's going to be this large war that's going to kill millions of people for this cause. All right. So one of those causes, and this is where your notes start at the top, is militarism. Militarism. Now, what do we think this word means? The military. So what does that mean?
Power with the military.
Power with the military. And military means what? Army. Navy, meaning in the ships in the water. But guess what is going to be introduced for the first time in World War I?
Marine.
No. Air Force. Planes. Planes are finally introduced because the invention of the planes, the Wright brothers, finally made something that could fly. Now, nothing like we think of today, but we will take a look when we talk about different technology in the war. All right, so our first cause is militarism. Our second one is alliances. What is an alliance?
Are we going to be writing this for the main?
Yes, the mainza.
If one gets involved.
All right, so in simpler terms, all right, so it's an agreement to back someone up. We understand this because, say, let's see, a fight breaks out in the lunchroom between two people. And in that fight, does it stay usually between two people? No, because everybody's friends on each side start jumping in, right? That's what an alliance is. But how can that be hurtful? How can that hurt other people? Right, a conflict between two different people end up involving 10 or 20 people. That's exactly what's going to happen in World War I. Because a conflict between a couple different countries is going to end up involving 8 countries. Okay? So there's going to be a lot of death in this war. All right? The next would be imperialism, what we just spent 2 weeks on. Okay? And to recap, imperialism means what? What does imperialism mean? You're scaring me. All right. Simply put, yes. To I'm gonna change your word "get" to obtain land for many different reasons, right? Taking over land because you want more territory, economically, ideologically, all that kind of stuff. The next one is this word we've also talked about, is nationalism. And nationalism is what? What is nationalism? We talked about this a little bit, 3 weeks ago maybe. All right, so it deals with your nationality, yes, but it goes much further. You're on the right track. It does deal with nationality. But what is this belief here? What's the root word of nationalism? Okay. All right. So you believe in your country so much that what do? You would do anything. You'll go to war so much. Oh, yeah. That you'll die for it. I have to give you a weird example.
Believe what?
In your country. You believe in it so much. I have to give you a weird example. Last night, my fiance and I had to go to premarital counseling. The reason is the person who's going to marry us requires that we go. Did not want to go. Oh my goodness, I did not want to go at all. But I ended up going, and it was worthwhile. Okay, but he gave us an example when we're resolving our own conflicts, right? When we're having a little fight. He says, think about it as if you're on a hill, right? You're in war, you're on a hill. Sort of this idea. Would you die to be on that hill, right? Is it worth dying to protect what you're arguing about? Okay. So I'm saying like the hill is you're in the army and you have to do, your commander says you have to do everything in your power to protect this hill. We cannot lose this piece of land, right? So that's the whole idea behind nationalism, is that you have to, is your country and what it stands for worth dying for? Okay, right? So would you defend that hill to the death? That's what he said to us last night. So nationalism is going to be a cause because of that reason. People believe in their country so much that they would die for it. Okay, and coupled with the alliance piece is that not only will I defend your country, my country, but I will defend your country if we're in an agreement with each other about that. Okay. Lastly, we have something else. So we have what is called the main causes of World War I. Spells out the word main. If you can remember that, what are the main causes? I hope you can remember what they are. The last one is the spark, what starts it all off. And that's the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. We'll get into that in just a little while. But this, it says assassination or spark. Okay. So again, many things are going to lead to this war that are not good. Singularly, they are pretty good. All grouped together at once, detrimental. Detrimental. All right, we got those things. So again, when you think of the causes of World War I, it is the main causes, right? The main, that means like the central idea. There's 4 of them, but hopefully if you can remember that acronym, that mnemonic device, you'll be able to remember what they are. And guess what World War II's causes? Same thing. Yeah, we'll get there though. Alright, so let's talk about militarism. Militarism, like I said, is the building up of your army to exponential lengths. Building it up so much that it's never even useful. Germany is competing with the United Kingdom, okay, or Great Britain or England. Remember, I said we talk about that a lot. All right, so I think it's Germany is what you have to fill in. I don't know. You have to figure that out. You guys are smart enough. So Germany is competing with the United Kingdom. Now, again, you can understand this, right? You compete with your friends to do just about everything. You compete in the gym trying to shoot baskets. You compete with your friends by having different stuff, by having the best iPhone out there, right? You compete with your friends about getting either a girl or a boy, right? I mean, that stuff happens. It's natural. But this competition goes above and beyond. Germany building up their army, their military with battleships. The United Kingdom doing it too because they're like, oh, what if they want to go to war with us? We need to be ready. And it's a domino effect. It hurts them. I just said it. Right? The British are afraid. Not that they can't handle it. They're just like, well, if Germany's going to do it, we got to do it too. Because if they want to attack us, if they get angry at us enough, we need to be ready for it. Okay? So not only is one country building up their military, but other countries are following suit because just in case they do want to go to war, we need to be ready. Okay? But what is an army good for? What is the only thing it does? It fights, right? So why have an army if you're not ready to fight? That's the whole mentality. Right? You have to be ready. And if you're not, you're screwed. Militarism. Okay? Again, with this idea that Germany's also competing with Russia. Remember, we said British and Russia on the same side. And France to expand their armies. They're trying to make their armies bigger now. Now, who's going to win this battle? Who has more people in their country willing to fight? Who are those crazy, crazy people? Yeah, those Russians. Man, they're nuts. But that's okay. I mean, that's good for them. They have this high sense of nationality. Right? They'll go to war to suit their country's needs. Okay? So, here are some numbers. I don't think you have to fill them in. They're there for you. But just to show you, in 1880, Germany has 1.3 million soldiers. That's kind of a lot, right? 1.3 million. I can't even quantify that for you. It's a lot. By 1914, only 30 years later, they have 5 million soldiers. A million is like, it's a crazy amount, right? You can't, let's see, how many can fit into FedEx Field? Like 75,000? Yeah. So that would be like if you filled FedEx Field 15 times with different people, right? Think about how many people at a football game, and then multiply that times 10 or 15. And that's how many 1 million is. 5 million would be filling it 60 times. That's a lot of people, right? That's a lot of people. Same thing. France and Russia do the same thing. They go from a very little amount to a whole lot. Just in case one of them wants to fight, they're getting ready to go. All right, alliances. We talked about this earlier. Here's the map. Your map is absolutely horrendous because you can't tell what those are. Can't print out in color. They don't allow me to do that. So you have to pay attention a little bit. We have England, France, and Russia on one side. We talked about that. That is the Allies' side. And then the Central Powers, the reason it's called the Central Powers is because it goes right down the center. That's Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Turkish Empire or the Ottoman Empire. However it shows up. By 1914, all of these great powers of Europe are linked in an alliance. France calls England and says, hey, yo, you got my back if those Germans try to get us? They're like, yeah, we got you. Right? And then they call Russia and they say, hey, we'll send you some vodka if you hook us up with a little help. Right? And the Russians are like, yeah, man, we love our vodka. Right? No, I'm kidding, but I'm just getting you to understand. And then the Germans, they're friends with Austria-Hungary. They're kind of like the same people, speak the same language. It makes sense. The next door neighbors, they're like, hey, yo, hook us up with a little help. And they're like, yeah, of course, we got your back. We're brothers from another mother. And then the Turkish Empire, the Ottoman Empire, they had similar ideas. Right? They're trying to keep their power, and who's going to do that? Who's going to help them is Germany and Austria-Hungary. But when that happens, when you make those alliances, Why make those alliances in the first place? To help yourself out, yes. But what if, Omar, I'm gonna ask you a question. If you think that somebody is gonna beat you up in lunch, or try to beat you up, Omar, because you're a tough guy. What are you gonna do? And they got other buddies too that are gonna help beat you up. What are you gonna do? You're just gonna take it. But why aren't they gonna be allowed? You got people, right? You are gonna call up your homies, and you're gonna get them to hook you up with some help. Okay, that's exactly what's happening. But the only reason that you're doing that, the only reason you're making that call is because you think something's gonna happen. But in order for that to happen, and for you bringing more people, it's more likely that there's actually gonna be something that goes down. Okay, it's exactly what happened here. Exactly what happens in Europe. And then once there's one little conflict, and there will be one small little conflict, the killing of only one person is going to bring all of these countries into a war with each other. Also, back to Omar's situation. Omar, somebody threatens Omar that they're going to beat him up in the lunchroom. But then Omar hears that one person, that person's name being Mikey, he hears that Mikey's got Joey to hook him up too. You want me to say Jose? I mean, cool. So Jose and Ricardo are gonna. He hears that both of them are going after him, and then so Omar's like, oh well, 2 against 1. That's not fair. So Omar's like, I'm gonna get my boy Rodrigo, and Rodrigo's gonna be on my side. But then, who did I say? Jose and Ricardo. All right, they hear that you get somebody else, so they get somebody else, and then it's just this big pile up, right? So once one person gets a friend or an ally, the other people get the ally, and then once they hear that, they get So it's back and forth. It's competition again. Okay. And all that creates tension, and we hate we hate Jose and Rodrigo and Ricardo, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like it just piles. All right, imperialism. We just spent an entire unit on it. Again, it comes down to competition. All the great powers are competing for colonies and territory all around the world. Asia and Africa specifically. The British, even though they had lots and lots of stuff in Africa, lots and lots of countries that they took over, they feared Germany's impending doom there. Because they think that Germany's going to try to take over their stuff. And they're like, that's not going to happen. No, we can't handle that. So they do the other thing. And then the Austrians fear Serbia. And Serbia's this little country. But they become very, very important. The Balkans are the... I'm going to show you. I'm going to go back. We got this down? Not yet? All right, I'll let you get it. The Balkans are a very, very small place. Serbia, very small place. But extremely important. Extremely important, at least for our story of World War I, how it happened. It could have happened other ways. I got to get out of the way. I wish I could move on. That'd be really cool. But I'm not that. In the what? In the Balkans. I'm going to show you where that is. All right, I'm going to go back. I'll get back to this if you need it. So the Balkans is this region down here. Very small. It's like where Greece is, okay? A bunch of little islands, okay? Serbia and Russia want to get in on that. But Austria-Hungary, because they're here, they want to get on that too. And so does the Turkish Empire. So Serbia, country. wants to get in there. So they're fearing each other there. Again, they're fighting over land that they want to take over to gain their empire. Okay? We'll get back to Serbia. Remember Serbia's name. We'll get there. Nationalism. This was probably the most important of all of the causes. Because in order to gain a military, what do you need to have? In order to build an army, what do you need? The most simple thing. What do you need? People who want to fight, right? You need soldiers. Without pride in your country, nobody's going to fight, right? I would say, at certain points throughout history, the American people would not fight for their country. During the Vietnam War, there was people who said, hell no, we are not fighting for our country. That's why the government institutes the draft. Forces people to fight because we need soldiers. Today, we have wonderful men and women who will fight for our country. However, the support is not as high as it's been ever, right? Not everyone would fight for their country, but during this time, 1914, people had such pride in their country that they would fight for it. And that's why those numbers of the armies are skyrocketing. So without this, it would have never happened. But this, coupled with all those other things, is going to cause this major, major conflict. Then you bring in different cultures into it. In Europe, Slavs, which are the Slavic people of modern-day Slovakia, right? That's why not calling them slaves. Slaves is different. They wanted to be free of Austrian rule. Remember, Austria-Hungary had that big, massive chunk of country. Well, guess what? It's not that big today because after World War I, it's broken up into different countries like Czechoslovakia, right? The Czech Republic, the Slovakian Republic. It's broken up. There are people with different cultures living within this greater mass called Austria-Hungary, and they want out. They want their independence. So who's going to help them? Look, it's that itty-bitty country again, Serbia, that's going to want to help. And Russia's going to help too. Big brother Russia. They'll fight anyway. They don't care. It doesn't matter. All right, and there is the Slovakian flag. Excuse me, Serbia's flag. That's weird. I didn't try to do that. Okay, we get it. Serbia. We're going to talk about Serbia a little bit. All right, cool. So again, to recap, we have the main causes of World War I: militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. But we need something. So this is all building up, right? Everybody's building up, building up, building up. But there's no reason to go to war. There's an impending doom like, oh crap, we're going to go to war. But there's nothing that's going to cause it. Until there is. And that's what we call the spark of World War I. But what is it? What is it? There's a crisis. On June 28, 1914. The heir, meaning the person who will take over the Austrian throne once his father dies, Franz Ferdinand, visits Sarajevo. Guess where that is? Serbia. It's capital of Bosnia, recently grabbed by Austria. And a hotbed for Slav nationalism. Remember those people that want to break away from the Austrians. And the Austrians have just grabbed this other little country, Bosnia. So there's a lot of little fighting going on there, mostly diplomatic. So they're like